where I have scheduled the economics meeting, and what we're looking at is something called the court hierarchy, and the tasks for you are here. So today you're going to need to be able to access two worksheets. The first worksheet, when you open it, it looks like this. And what this shows you, it's a triangle, and inside the triangle, I've labeled the different types of courts in Australia. So at the bottom, you'll see the Magistrates Court, then the Children's Court, County Court, moving further up, Supreme Court of Victoria, then you have the Court of Appeal, then you have the High Court of Australia. The High Court of Australia listens to the most serious, we'll look at what each of them do, but that is the top court in Australia, starting off with the Magistrates Court and the Children's Court. It's a little bit like if you think a hierarchy moves up in order of rank or status. So if you think of our school, we have students, then teachers, then coordinators, then the leading teachers, then we have the assistant principal, and right at the top we have Mr. Patton. Each of these courts in Australia will hear different types of cases. Now, in about 2 weeks' time, and I will give you the exact date next week, you're going to have an online test on forms on justice and the law, starting right at the beginning. One of the things in the test that you will have to do for 30 marks is to be able to accurately label this diagram. So you need to know which courts we start off at, Magistrates Court, Children's Court, and ending right at the top of the High Court of Australia. So you do need to know the placement of that court, although you're not physically going to be drawing it because the test will be online, you're going to have to know how to label it. So if we look at the second worksheet, because if you remember, I said to you there's two. The visual is the one I've just shown you, the triangle. Now we need to know a little bit of information on each one. I'm not going to go through each and every single dot point because some of the courts we're actually not going to have a look at. You don't need to know for your test. The only courts you need to know are the ones that are actually labelled here. So to give us a bit of information, tribunals and VCAT is not on the diagram. You don't actually need to know that. So if it's not on the diagram, go right past it. Starting at the bottom with the Magistrates Court, there it is over there. A magistrate court has someone known as a magistrate. It's a little bit lower down than a judge. There's no jury, and any sort of case that starts off with, they all begin here in the Magistrates Court. This is the first place. If somebody is charged with something, they'll all go through the Magistrates Court. And it's a preliminary hearing. So hearing is the magistrate will listen to what has happened and then decide which court the case actually needs to go to. And it also only listens to minor criminal cases. So if somebody has something like a driving offence or a minor theft or assault or littering, noise, disruption, minor drug possession or sale. So we're not talking about somebody in the Magistrates Court, for instance, importing $1 million worth of cocaine from overseas. Minor possession, so they've got a small quantity of drugs that are found on them. And then up to $100,000 worth in civil cases. Now, is civil cases where two people have a dispute, so they disagree with each other. So it might be caused through an accident. Cars are driving along, one car bumps into another car, they're both denying who's at fault, nobody wants to pay the other person. Whatever the damage or the accident value is worth, it'll be heard in the Magistrates Court, think a little bit like judge, jury, but it has to be less than $100,000 worth of damage. Then, Then we have the Children's Court. Again, the person at a Children's Court, they're called a magistrate. If you are called to court, you would land up in the children's court, and it deals with crimes of when children are between the ages of 10 but under the age of 18. And it will listen to all criminal cases except for murder and arson. It also listens to cases where children are in need of protection or deciding on guardianship. So that is over here, same level as the magistrates court. So magistrate, children's court. Moving one up, we have something known as the county court. Here is your county court. County court will listen to serious crimes, but not murder or treason. For example, major theft, serious battery, any sex crimes, and drugs. It'll also listen to adoption matters. Your county court has a judge and jury. Unlimited maximum for civil cases. A civil case, remember, that is where you have a disagreement over an accident or dispute between, it could be over property, between two people. And also listens to appeals from a magistrate's court on criminal matters. And that means, let's say someone's gone to a magistrate's court and they're found guilty of a crime. If this person wants to again try and maybe reduce the sentence, maybe they're put in jail or they get a fine, and they don't agree with what the magistrate has given, they can take it here to the county court and they can ask the county court to review or to re-look at their case. Moving one up, we have the Supreme Court of Victoria. And at the Supreme Court, now we suddenly find a judge and a jury. A jury consists of 12 people, and they're ordinary citizens over the age of 18 who are called to something called jury duty. And they will sit there and they will listen to a case, and at the end of the case, they have to give a verdict on whether or not they find the person guilty or not guilty. If they find a person guilty, it is up to the judge presiding or listening to the case to decide on what the penalty or the punishment will be, whether it be a fine, whether it be jail, etc. Your Supreme Court will listen to your most serious cases, including treason, murder, and any theft over $1 million worth of money will be listened to in the Supreme Court. Then moving one up, we have the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, it's a branch of the Supreme Court, and it hears appeals from the Magistrates Court. So let's have a look here. Supreme Court, Court of Appeal. If you appeal something, you ask for it to be looked at again. So let's say somebody has gone to the Supreme Court of Victoria and they are charged with a crime they're found guilty by the jury and they're given a sentence. Let's say they want to try and prove they really are not guilty. They can take it to the Court of Appeal and ask the Court of Appeal to please look at the case again. Or let's say a person is put in prison for 25 years. They can take it to the Court of Appeal and ask the Court of Appeal to have a look at that case again for them. The High Court of Australia, that's the highest court that we have there. So you don't need to worry about that. That's not actually on the diagram, but it deals with federal laws such as banking, business deals. It also looks at Aboriginal land rights, and it's the last court of appeal. So basically, if you still want to appeal a Court of Appeal, you have nowhere else to take it besides the High Court of Australia. That decision there will be final on whatever it is that they decide. And have a look here. They can have up to 7 judges listening to that case. That's a lot. So, like I say, again, that's at the top. There's nowhere else further to take it from there. What you are going to do today is, now, I'm not sure how big my screen is where you are, but number 1, this triangle that you see over here, you are going to draw that triangle across 2 pages in your book, or two pieces of paper. It doesn't really matter actually where you draw it, and label it. So what I've done here is I've taken a book and I have used double sides, and you can see I've written in black the starting off at the magistrates, going to the children's, the county, and moving all the way up to the High Court of Australia. So once you've done that, number 2, you're going to look at this. So we started off with magistrates court at the bottom. You can take any 2 dot points, it doesn't matter which one, and write them in the block or next to the block, anywhere where they fit. Just 2 facts. So if you look at mine, next to magistrates court, I've written magistrate has no jury. Next to children's court, I've put the children. Okay, it should say 10 to under the age of 18, and it listens to all criminal cases except for murder. And then next to county court, just going out there, I've put serious crimes, not murder. Going to the Supreme Court, it has a judge and a jury, and it listens to more serious cases. So any 2 bullet points, it really doesn't matter. Now, when you finish this, because it's on paper, I want you to take a photo, and you're going to upload the photo onto Compass. So to do that, take a mobile phone, snap a picture. You can email the picture to yourself, and then just open the picture on your device. The other way to do it is if you have Teams on your mobile phone, upload it to Teams. No, you can't do it that way. If you're having a massive problem, just message somebody else in class and just ask them how they upload it. But if you email it to yourself and then save it onto your desktop, you should be able to upload the photo that way, if that makes sense. Failing that, message it to me on Teams. Just send me a photo of your work on Teams and I'll mark you off as having done that. Do I have any questions? All right, thanks everyone. Go do your work.